Have you ever played a game where you race rocket-powered sleds and the only way to turn is if you use a grappling hook around a giant pillar on ice-covered tracks? Yeah, I didn't think so. You see, in the racing game genre, the only way to stand out is if you think way outside of the box and come up with something extremely unique and different. And Slingshot Racing is one of those games that just thinks way outside of the box. And now, over 10 years later, it's time to bring this almost completely forgotten winter racer back from the delisted grave. Here we go! Released on May 23, 2012 by Crescent Moon Games and Snowbolt Interactive, Slingshot Racing was originally published specifically for iOS devices as a 99-cent game, but eventually it made its way over to Android phones and tablets later on in its life cycle. The game features some extremely fast-paced racing action where you're in control of a rocket-powered wooden sled. There's no gas or brake pedal, only a grappling hook to help you slingshot around corners. Every race is won or lost in the turns, and it all depends on how well you carry speed around the racetrack. Now, it's not confirmed when exactly this game was officially delisted and removed from app stores, but the most recent videos on YouTube are from 2016. From there, I'd have to guess Slingshot Racing was delisted sometime late 2016 or early 2017, around the time of the 32-bit apocalypse. But that's enough of an overview. Let's begin the hunt. So I decided to start by hunting down the Android version of the game, since Android apps are typically a lot easier to find. Now normally, Android apps require two file types to install: an APK file and an OBB file. The OBB file acting as the data file containing the cars, tracks, songs, all the ones and zeros that make up the game, while the APK file bundles it all together and makes it a playable app. But this game's very unique because the file size for this game is so small, everything fits inside the APK file. This made finding the game and getting it all booted up much easier than normally. Next up was the iOS version, the hardware the game originally released on. Now, I had serious doubts about locating what I needed to get Slingshot Racing working on iOS. And while once again I only needed to find one file type, an IPA file, not many websites have IPA files available for download, and even fewer of those websites even work. But I wasn't about to give up just because the odds were against me. Download link after download link. Game version after game version. I was nearly out of options until I found a download link that was still available. It looked pretty sketchy, but I had to go for it. And to my surprise, after jumping through all the necessary hoops to install an iOS game, it worked, and it played perfectly. And let me just say, this game is incredible. Slingshot Racing can be quite difficult at times, but once you get a hang of the controls, it's a blast. The satisfaction of perfecting a lap is honestly like nothing else I've ever experienced in any other racing game. Oh, and I haven't even mentioned the local 4-player battles, which, if you can get it all set up on an emulator, can actually be a ton of fun. Slingshot Racing is one of the games that unfortunately slipped through the cracks for me, and I've actually never even played it up until this point. Boy, am I glad I found it. And while I personally have an absolute blast playing this game, I'm not just going to keep it to myself. Let's head on to the installation tutorial so you all can play this game yourself. Alright, and now on to the tutorial section of the video. Once again, we're pulling double duty. We got the Android version and the iOS version of the game to show you how to install. We're going to start with the Android one. Link in the description. That link will take you to this website right here. Okay, you're going to scroll all the way down here and you're looking for this middle button. Basically just click that. Take you to a different page. It says it will start download, but basically just click this button here and the download will start. Now thankfully this game does not require a data file. Okay, the game is so small it literally doesn't even need a data file, which is amazing. For this example, I'm going to be using BlueStacks 5. You can also use Nox in terms of PC emulators, but you can also just install this app straight to your phone. This is probably the easiest installation tutorial I'll ever have to do. So basically once you're booted up, you'll install the APK, and right there, open, and it should install the app. Okay, and it installed. We'll just click it on here, make sure that everything's working. Click here to disable this message. Oh. There we go. Okay. Just had to be sure there. Okay, there you go. Very simple, super easy. Literally the easiest installation tutorial I could possibly have. Just download the APK and install it. Whether you're on your phone or an emulator like this one, it is a piece of cake. Next is the iOS version of the game, and this one is pretty interesting. This is a very interesting story behind it. Because I downloaded this IPA file, got it onto my tablet, and it worked. And now I was looking that file back up to show you guys the download link and all that, and I can't find it. Okay, but thankfully I had already downloaded the file and saved it on this computer here. So what I actually ended up doing is I ended up putting this as a shareable file on Google Drive. The link to this file download is right here. I'll also have it in the description down below. So amazingly, I actually have this file as it appears to have just been lost to the internet. That or it's somehow just, again, it's been moved or something. I can't find it, but I already have it downloaded, so I'm going to be sharing it on Google Drive, and this link right here is what you're going to do. So once you hit the link, it'll take you to this page right here. You hit the download button. And it starts the download. It's very small, under 40 megabytes, really quick download, okay? Now once you have it downloaded, that's where things get a little bit tricky, because this is an older game and you're going to need to have an older iOS device to run this game. Something presumably under iOS 11. So any device running 32-bit, iOS 10 or lower should work. I won't get specific on the devices of iPods and iPhones and iPads. I'm using an iPad 4th gen, I think. It's running the last version of iOS 10 that was available. So basically any 32-bit device and you should be good to go. But we're going to show you how to do it. So with that disclaimer out of the way, let's move on to actually getting that file installed on an iPad. Okay, disclaimers out of the way, but there are a few more requirements to make sure you can successfully move this app onto this device, which you see being mirrored onto the screen right now. You're going to need an app called Sideloadly. I'll have a link for that in the description. I'll also have a card up on the top of the screen somewhere on how to set up and install Sideloadly, because you do need a legitimate iTunes account. So either you use your own iTunes account or you set one up specifically for the use of sideloading apps. That's up to you. I'm using a legitimate one, which is why it's blurred out. But the only other thing you're going to need is an internet connection, which I'm using the hotspot off my phone. Both the tablet here and the computer need to be connected to the same connection, the same network, so that they can obviously talk to each other, and also, you know, through the wiring to the computer, so I can move the app around. Anyway, just make sure everything, all the devices you're using are online and all connected to the same thing. Okay, now we got that out of the way, let's show you how to do this. Over here on Sideloadly, basically, if you've got to this point, you've set the program up, and you've added the account, and you're online, there's a big IPA button right here. That's what you want to click. So we're going to click that, and you basically need to find that IPA file that you downloaded. So, okay, that was the original file there. So we'll open that, and it'll automatically add it, and all that's left is to hit the start button. So hit the start button. Sometimes there will be an error. Bingo. Okay, so this is because I haven't used this in a while. That's not right. Okay. Because you have to go to settings. It's already on general. So all the way to the bottom. Let's go all the way to the bottom. Device management. Developer app. And you have to trust it on here. See, it says delete app. But where delete app would be, it would say trust this app. Apparently, for some reason, it already has trusted it. Maybe because I entered my password on there. That has never happened before. And then, yeah, you just basically hit it, and it should boot up right away. Oh, we got an intro video. That's cool. I don't remember that. Which means we'll also get one for Bolt then too. Yeah. Okay, that's cool. I don't remember that happening, but that's cool. So yeah, and we're back at the tutorial. So yeah, there you go. Obviously, if you're just looking to play the game, I highly recommend you just get an emulator, an Android emulator on your computer if you have one. If you have an Android phone, that's even better, because it is pretty hard to do on iOS. There's a lot of limitations, and the device list for the devices that will run this game are all considerably old, and no one gets an iPad this fat and old just because. They get it because they have to run old games like this. That's the only reason why I have this tablet, is because it's old enough to run these games. Literally for no other reason. So, I were to recommend anything, I'd recommend you get the Android version, specifically from an emulator, because it's just better that way. Alright, and that will conclude this segment. I'm going to go send it on over to the next one, where I'll give you some final thoughts and some gameplay. Slingshot Racing does exactly what a racing game needs to do to stand out in the genre. And the fact that it's a mobile game of all things makes this even better. The learning curve is pretty steep, but if you keep playing and don't give up, you'll be flinging around turns in no time. Anyway, that'll do it for this week's episode. I'll leave you all with some gameplay. If you're enjoying this series, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. It really helps this channel out a lot. And if this is the first episode of Delisted you're seeing, there are several episodes already uploaded on the channel. Be sure to check those out. And if you're looking for some more Delisted, stick around till after the gameplay, and I'll give you a sneak peek of the next episode. So until next time, keep on gaming, everybody. on the next episode of Delisted. Every once in a while, a game will come out that really pushes the performance of a system that it's played on. And on this episode of Delisted, that's exactly what kind of game I'm talking about. An explosive action racing game that really didn't seem to gain a whole lot of popularity until long after its removal. Fast cars, explosive power-ups, and a TV show like no other.